Ambition, woohoo!
Good morning, Ambition. It's Alex and
Tiffany. We were just saying earlier that we've got the normal one and the abnormal one. Welcome back, guys. So this week we have a special guest for you, Sam Spoors. Woohoo!
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Now, just to tell you guys a little bit more about Sam. So Sam is an entrepreneurial business leader with expertise in people development, talent acquisition, and business growth. As founder and managing director of Talent Heads, she builds high-performing teams and fosters strong community connections. Passionate about her local community, Sam's innovative business model focuses on valuing people beyond numbers. Named Northeast Chamber of Commerce Entrepreneur of the Year 2023 and a Global 100 Women in Leadership winner, Sam and Talent Heads are also finalists in the pending National Recruiter Awards for Recruitment Industry Entrepreneur of the Year and Best Client Service, as well as 2024 IHR Awards in the category of Outsourced In-House Recruitment Team. She's a proud mother of 4, wow, and a passionate advocate for her hometown of Morpeth in the northeast of England. Northeast!
Yeah, really great to have a Northeast mother on the podcast.
A ma'am.
Do you get called ma'am, Sam?
Yeah, ma'am.
What we like to hear.
I'm still getting used to the ma'am thing. I was thinking it might take me a little while.
I try and sometimes be a bit posher by saying mum if I'm speaking to someone who doesn't look like they would have embraced the ma'am, but I get ma'am is like a favourite word in this house.
I bet, with 4 children.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how you balance it, but I think you're an inspiration.
Oh, thanks for saying that. It's just normal life for me.
No worries. I think a good place to get started is, I remember you, because one thing I always love on this podcast is giving people the idea that everybody starts somewhere. And I think it's always refreshing for people to know that. So do you mind kind of taking us back to where it all started and, the early days of Sam?
Tiffany loves an origin story, you see.
Oh, I do.
That's right. Let me try and make it as quick as possible then, because there's quite a few years that have kind of gone past. So I was brought up in a northeast village. It was very much a village, very, very small. Lots of people did the same things as their previous generations had. People have lived in their houses for years and years and years. And I went to secondary school and realised that I didn't want to be in my village when I had the opportunity to make some choices about my next steps. So I worked really hard in my A-levels, although I've got to be honest, academically, I have to work hard, and I knew I had to do that so that I could get the results that I needed so that I could ultimately leave the village and head to Liverpool, where I could start finding out who I wanted to be in the longer term. Put myself through 3 hardship loans, did 3 years at university, refused to come back with anything shorter than a 2-1. I needed to come back and tell people that I had succeeded. Came back, didn't return to the village, had a short stint in social services because, as you said, I'm all about people. I want to make an impact on people's lives, and I thought that might give me the opportunity to do that. Realised that maybe social services wasn't the right thing for me, walked into a recruitment agency, and the rest is history. They offered me a job. I spent 11 years in recruitment agencies. I then went in-house to be the head of recruitment for a very large multi-site reputable business in hospitality and leisure, and then set up Talent Heads. But before that, had 2 beautiful children, had a divorce, unfortunately, had a rehousing, second go at it, met my husband, and my husband comes with 2 beautiful young boys as well. And our house is complete with 2 little toy poodles as well. So there you go, Tiffany. Very quick whirlwind how this moment has come about.
Love that.
So not a quiet life then?
No, I'm not really sure, Alex. I was created for a quiet life, even though I might pretend sometimes I would like it to quieten down. I do actually love getting out of the bed. I get out of bed every morning with I've got stuff to do, and it really motivates me. I enjoy a little bit of chaos.
And it sounds like that because didn't you start Talent Heads with 2 very young children?
Yes, I did. So I handed my notice in and said I was leaving my very lovely, secure, cozy, doing really, really well, corporate career with sick pay and holiday pay and all those lovely perks. Decided to leave my husband at the same time, and knew that these two lovely, precious, beautiful little girls were needing quite a lot of my attention to get us back on our next stage of what was going to be the three of us, with their dad very nicely in the equation as well, but from a different place. So people thought I was absolutely nuts when I said I was going to do it all at once. But I knew that I got to this crossroads where I was giving so much to this career that was taking me away from those children already. I was putting so much energy into this relationship that very respectfully both of us knew wasn't going to be a long-term thing any longer, and it wasn't going to work. And I just felt like I had to just press that button of stop. What am I going to do? I may as well take it all on at once and push through. And I have no regrets about that. I think that was a good thing to do when the kids are happy and healthy and thriving, and I've got all the things that I can be healthy and happy as well. That brings everything together nicely.
Wow.
It's amazing. It really is. I was just struck there about other people's opinions and how you dealt with that, and how you had the confidence to go with your gut and do what you felt like you needed to do while pushing away those opinions of other people.
Yeah, I got so many comments. I got comments from family members saying marriages are just hard, work at it, just got to keep going. I had opinions from team members and colleagues at work who would say, oh my God, you're so brave. Like, this has happened in my personal life and I would never do this. I don't even know how you can even consider it, never mind actually go ahead with it. And genuinely, like, there was no other option for me. Like, I was giving blood, sweat and tears to a business that I adored, which was making me unhealthy. I was putting my children in the priority bracket that I didn't want to put them in. And I was extremely unhappy. So for me, it was like, these things all need to fit together. And I'm the only one that can take responsibility for that. And I'm really sorry if people think I didn't try hard enough, but I gave 15 years of my life to this relationship, and I give 20 years to this career beforehand, and it's my turn to do something that will help my children see what good and healthy looks like. So I didn't let any of those kind of opinions stop me. I acknowledged them, and then I pushed on.
I like that. And I think that's something I think especially as women we struggle with, this idea of needing to please other people.
Yeah.
Or not being able to have that quiet enough to determine what we want and to push from that, because it's hard, especially like you said, with children in the mix, with investing your career in the mix. I think they call it the where you've invested so much into something that sometimes we just carry on anyway.
Oh, it's like the sunken time cost, isn't it?
The sunken costs. Yeah. So especially, I mean, let's kind of delve into that then from a career perspective. What was it like in those early days of just like launching a business, you know?
It was exciting. Like, some people, like, now we're 4 years old, so now it's become a little bit more real, because actually we've got team members, I've got overheads, I've got clients who have been with us since the beginning of the journey. So the next stage for me is probably more sobering. It's more grown up. There's some maturity that needs to be done. We're not a startup business anymore. We've got some real good traction in the market. So I think at the very early days, when I set the business up, I was kind of like, I've got nothing to lose. Like, I've got a really good career to date. I believe in that. It's factual. Like, I really struggled with the whole, don't believe in your own press. And you always have people on the, this imposter syndrome, people talking about, well, maybe you're not as good as you think, and lots of different things. I knew the facts, and I knew I had something that I could offer that was different. And I knew I had the determination and the work ethic to get something off the ground. So I was genuinely excited at the beginning. I was just kind of like, do you know what? If this doesn't work in 12 months' time, at least I can say I gave it a good go, and I've scratched that itch. So the early days, Tiffany, were exciting when the emails came in, when the phone rang, when I could say to people, oh, well, actually, I own a business and we do this. The first client that came over the line, it was like, oh my God, this is exciting.
Well, I love that. And I love this idea of actually switching into an exciting thing, because I think sometimes in life, everyone's looking for evidence that they're making the best decision or the right decision. But sometimes there isn't any. It's just allowing yourself to find some optimism, find some good news and follow it through, right?
Yeah. That was children though, isn't it? When people say, when all that question of, oh, so when are you going to have children? And you're like, well, actually, you're never going to be ready to have children. Like, it doesn't matter what stage of your life you're at. When that little bundle of joy is here, you are just a different person and you're in a different space. And I think setting a business up is the same. It's like, yeah, there are fundamentals. You need a support system like I've got with a husband who pulls his weight and more. There are things that I need around me. My children understand that I'm ambitious and I'm driven and all of those things. And the girls are really embracing that. So I had some of those things that actually made it less of a risk, but the rest of it for me is like, you get one shot and I want to give it a go. So for me, I had to embrace it with excitement, because that is felt by everyone else who you're trying to interact with and things. So yeah.
I really like what you're saying about you knew the facts, and that you took that, like, that evidence that you had for yourself of your own skill and your own career to date. And I think that often people don't do enough of that reflection of, actually, look, these are all of the things I've achieved, and use that to push them forward, because that can be a really powerful tool, I think, to look at past achievements and think, well, if I can do that, then I'm going to give this a go. And it's, I like what you say as well about, you know, that motherhood changes you to completely. And maybe, you know, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your reflections on how it does change you. But I love that you girls are watching on with excitement, and just that you can be that exciting role model for them.
Absolutely. That's probably the one thing that spurs me on, to be honest. Like, having two little girls and not being, not letting myself kind of fall into any of those expectant categories is really, I can see it in my daughters, especially my youngest daughter, who's 13 now. Like, she the world's hers. Like, she is so open to what she can do, and that entrepreneurship, that kind of thinking on your feet and coming up with ideas. Like, we have really great conversations where it's up to us to push the boundaries. It's up to us. We can do whatever we want to do. Like, that opportunity is absolutely there. So I think that role model part is extremely, extremely important for me.
I think I like the idea of, I suppose, the next generation is watching. I always have the idea of passing on the baton.
Yes.
Yeah, because even from and I think we all need to create that narrative around what makes sense for us, because everyone's story is different. I mean, with me and my dad came to England, a very long time ago, and he had a different set of circumstances. My dad had to deal with maybe some kind of overt racism, right? I had to deal with some kind of not so overt racism, but my dad paid a price. He set the foundation for certain things. For me now to take that, and now I'm thinking, how can I improve the lives for my children so that when they get to the point that where I'm at now, it'll be a different set of challenges. They don't have to deal with what my dad dealt with. If you say, so I'm interested to know how you think it, in a positive way, actually. You've been an entrepreneur. You set an example for your daughter, how that has really changed how she looks at the world. And I think it sounds like that's obviously one of the key things that motivates you as well. And maybe what really pushed you to do it, rather than kind of feeling the fear. You thought, actually, this is bigger than the fear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think just even that kind of deciding that even when the kids were young, that we were going to separate that marital home, everything that they knew, I did do that for them. Yes, absolutely. I did it because I wanted to be happy. And I definitely did it because it was just sucking so much life out of me. I was just becoming poorly. I was just not in a good place at all. But I did it because I wanted those girls to see what a healthy relationship was, and that would help them. I knew in the longer term that would help them find happiness. And this whole concept of happiness is really important to me. Like, I want the girls, I want my children, all 4 children now, to have lives where they know that there are other options, and I've shown them maybe a couple of different options, and that opens their mind to the fact that they don't have to just accept something. So that kind of family thing was something that I was like, actually, that, bickering in the kitchen when we're cooking tea for the children, or, saying someone's done more work around the house than someone else, they're not conversations that my daughters need to hear about. I need to break that narrative. Like you say, I need to show them that it can be a kiss on the lips when you leave in the morning. It can be a thank you for helping me with this. And I need to change that so they can see what healthiness and happiness is. And from a work perspective, I think the girls have everything that I've had, even before I was an entrepreneur and I set up my own business, I've always been accountable for things. So even if I had a team in a business and it wasn't my business, I believed that was my business, my little function. I owned that, and I would have lived or died by it. I would have put my neck on the line. Those people would have been my people. So the kind of going from being a senior professional and employed to being an entrepreneur, and the qualities that takes, there are some transferability there that the kids have been brought up with. Like when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I say something and I phrase something, the way that comes out, that sticks. I'm accountable for that. I have to make sure that I own that. I say it to girls all the time, own it. You've got to own it. You've said it. You've got to own it now. So there's some qualities that I think probably are entrepreneurial that I've always had in my corporate career that then I've really had an opportunity to really use to my strength when I set up the business that they've seen.
And it sounds as well to me like, when you're talking about growing up, that you've always had that ability to not just accept the status quo, to kind of push boundaries and find a path that's right for you. Rather than just follow the path that other people are setting. And that's obviously a really important skill to lay out for kids as well.
Yeah, I've never, it's really interesting because I've done a load of reflection, so much over the last maybe 10 years. I've reflected a lot on who I am as a person and what I've done. And I get a lot of questions, or I've asked myself a lot of times, like, could I have stopped then? Could have this happened? If this had happened, why did I choose to sidestep that? What was my reasoning in the reasons why I'm here now? And what does that mean? What does that mean for the future? And genuinely, I don't know what it is, but I don't see challenges as anything it sounds a bit weird. Maybe I'm the weird one, Tiffany, when you opened it up and you said there's one abnormal and one. Maybe I'm a little bit with you, a bit abnormal. But
Alex is too. She just pretends.
I am just pretending. I was going to say we didn't go into which one of us was normal or abnormal.
There you go.
Sorry, Alex, that makes it look like I assumed it was you then.
No, I'm just pretending. I'm pretending to be normal. Do go on, Sam.
I don't see challenges as something that stops what I want to do. Like genuinely, I see challenges as a really irritating thing that I need to just get over. And I just think there's so much that you can do in this big spectrum. If a challenge comes up, I'm really happy to go, right, well, they're not my people. That is not my thing. That's not my tribe. That's just, there's some learning there. That's absolutely fine. But I'm going to take 2 steps this way and I'm going to go again. I've never seen gender. I've never seen, being a split family. I've never seen, maybe being an entrepreneur who set up a business in the late 30s. I've never seen any of those things being something that could be in a conversation and a PR gig or something like that. I've never seen them as things that I've really kind of hung my hat on and been like, oh, I feel like that has defined me and therefore I've had a bit of hardship. I don't really see hardship. I just see it as it's an opportunity to grow, and that's not my space. Something else will be my space, and I've tried to gravitate towards that positive energy and something I can have an impact on, and that motivates me and takes my children on this journey with me.
So bulletproof optimism. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, have you always been like that, or is it a skill you've developed with time?
I think it's been I think in the early years, if we really look at it, I think it's probably been a bit of a coping. In the early days, it might have been a coping strategy that actually everyone else was so everyone that I was surrounded with when I was younger were very practical. They were very, very homely. They were very lovely people. But I found that was not where my energies were best used. Like, I found it was a way of, I was the one that was always like, well, let's do something different. Come on, guys, let's be something. And I found that that became something that differentiated me a little bit. And it helped me get into the headspace that I wanted to be in, to be able to see a future that was going to be encouraging for me. So
were you quite imaginative as a child, I wonder, or read lots of books, or?
Do you know an interesting one? My parents, I was brought up by a single mother, and I was the eldest of 3 daughters, and my mum never read to me. Okay. I found books later on in life. I found books out of necessity to be able to pass my exams so I could escape. So for me, books weren't, I can even remember comics and stuff and having sleepovers. And can you remember the agony aunt pages and things? And my friend from school used to read the agony aunt. She used to read them aloud, and I used to just listen to them. So I was never into books, but I was really good at role plays. So I used to open a post office most Saturdays or Sundays, and I'd be outside green. I'd be recruiting the kids from across the block, come and be my customers. And I used to have a school, and I'd have the register, and I would check everyone in at the school. I was very creative, very imaginative, but probably not in the academic sense until later on, which now I've got a huge thirst for learning.
No, I find it interesting because I'm always thinking, are entrepreneurs born or made? And obviously, people can fall on either side. But I think the reason why I ask these questions is I always think about our audience, and there might be people listening think I wish I had more of what Sam's got. So how can I develop it? But I also know that people have to go on their own journeys, right? But I'm just trying to see if we can distill some advice from people that, if you want to be more like Sam, I don't know, in terms of bulletproof optimism, for example, I think that's what I could get from you. It might be your life experiences and how you viewed, your life and how you viewed your experiences. For example, I don't listen to the news, and I think that helps me a lot. So I always think, what are the things that people can do to be more versatile, or if that's something they want to develop?
Yeah, I think it does go back to that, knowing what your strengths are, because then no one can take that away from you. So if you're passionate about what you do, and you know that you've got something that you can offer, and you're willing to put the hard work in, and you're willing to know that it's going to be bloody difficult, but you're absolutely fine to take that challenge on, then you can do it. You can absolutely do it. You've just got to know that it's going to be tough, but life's tough. So I do think, Tiffany, to your point, when you've had a few knocks quite early on in your earlier years, like the resilience. I mean, there's sometimes I've got to be really honest, like, even though I come across as being very optimistic, I can lead people. I'm always like coming up with ideas and suggestions and ideas. There are some days where my anxiety peaks so much, I'm almost crippled by it. The self-doubt comes in, the kind of like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is really tough. I do have moments where for a couple of days where I just have to be like, I just need to just get back to nature. I need to get back to my reality. I need to look at my daughter's face and see her freckles. I need to come down and back into the room because I've let myself get a little bit carried away with myself. So it's not always positivity, clicking your heels, raising a glass. But I think if you're willing to kind of go through that, knowing that you've kind of been through worse, it does spur you on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It does. I like that you measured it out a bit as well, to let people know that there are down days, and because I think sometimes everyone's looking for this consistent happiness. And I love that you've said that getting back to nature, for example, is one of the ways in which you manage your own mind.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to remember why you're doing it in the first place, because you just get carried away sometimes with ego. And I think that's really dangerous. Like, I've always promised myself since I set up Talent Heads that I would never be driven by my ego. I'd be driven by why am I doing that? What's the purpose? What's the value? What am I contributing? What impact am I making? Because I think you know, the business stage that it's at now, every time I go into a networking event or meet someone, I get loads of really lovely compliments. And inside of me, I feel like saying, yeah, and I do say it quite regularly, yeah, but it's bloody hard. Like everyone just sees the glitz and the glamour, and everyone just sees the bits that you want people to see. But actually, I think there's quite an important piece about actually representing that it's not always like that. And the majority of the time, it isn't like that. So opening a second office, bringing a new team member on, winning new clients, they're brilliant. But all of the work to get to that stage and all of the moments of potential self-doubt or sacrifice or all those things that do play a part in it.
You know, I think hearing the kind of honest, unvarnished truth is really super important. And I like that you make that, you know, part of your mission and like storytelling, because it's one of the reasons we're doing this podcast, really, because we want people to see not just the surface of look at everybody's fabulous polished careers. You know, we're talking to really accomplished people like yourself, but we want people to see it. This is doable if you are able to put the work in, if you're able to do the things like define what your purpose is and what you want out of life. It's all little steps towards it. And to not compare yourself to the end result. We want people to hear how people got there, so that they can maybe take that inspiration. For me, you know, motherhood is such a point where you reflect on life and what you want out of it. I think it really crystallizes where you are. And so there are so many women who are in that motherhood stage who are like, what I used to do just doesn't hold meaning for me, or isn't what I want to be doing now. So yeah, I think hearing you say that there are days where it's really tough, people don't see the work that happens behind it, it makes it more achievable and it makes it more real for other people.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be able to share that, because like you say, it does allow other people to be more honest and then makes things feel a lot more real. I think sometimes I don't feel like we are doing a very good job when everyone just sees the good stuff, because I'm like, all that, like the awards and all that lovely stuff, it's really, really good. But actually the reality, the bit that is exciting is for me when, you know, the kids come on a charity walk like we did yesterday, and they were there with the team with their Alzheimer's research merchandise on, and I'm holding Lily May's hand and our best friends there, and they're the moments, those are the bits where I've created a business that's got purpose and it's got values and it's got team come out, like the team all together, and I couldn't think of the word, the camaraderie. Camaraderie, Alex, that's what I was going for. The camaraderie, like people being together and the kids seeing that for me is a milestone. It's not about the figures. I know we're not a charity. You have to build a business that's got a legacy and is sustainable, but that's not really what someone's going to write on your gravestone at the end of your life. It is tough. And I think more people need to be honest about that, because then it will bring out more entrepreneurs. It'll bring out people who are brave, who want to do something different, because they can see the highs and the lows.
And I mean, the other day, Tiffany, you were saying that your dad had said, oh, I wish I had like been able to start a business. And I think there are so many people out there who would love to do it, but it's that fear that's just holding them back, isn't it?
Yeah, because it is that comparison thing when you go onto social media and you see someone as the person that you perceive as being successful, and you compare yourself to that person, and you just feel as if it's just unachievable. And that's actually that person that you've probably seen as being very successful will be at home with sleepless nights, worrying about things. You just don't know, but that kind of shiny persona of who that person is what you take for granted as that's what you need to be. And that's not reality. That's not human life.
No, I like that. And I think that's one of the reasons, even though I'm very cautious about like how I use social media, because I think for me personally, you know, I used to be on Instagram a lot, and I just kind of got to a point where I felt like I was so obsessed with what other people are up to, and I think sometimes we lose that time that we could be using on ourselves and focusing on maybe even having some peace and quiet, you know, reflecting, journaling. There's so much work that time could better use. So I'm interested to know, how do you use social media? Because I know that obviously you've got to use it for the business, but how do you manage how you use it to stay sane and stay present, but still be ambitious? And
I've stopped using social media for personal stuff, if I'm honest. I haven't got time. I can get down a rabbit hole on Instagram, and an hour later I'm like, oh my God, I've actually just lost an hour of my life. So yeah, it's so easy to do. And I used
Very easy to do.
I used to be really big on Facebook as well. And before I had my own business, and I would post the pictures of the kids, and I would do the Christmas pajamas, and I would do everything to try and keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
I would do it. But I've found that actually that doesn't give me joy. That just makes me compare myself more to other people. And that's not healthy. So I just concentrate my journey, and I share personal stuff. Because of that vulnerability, I think it's important to share the vulnerability just on LinkedIn. I use one channel. The business uses other channels across Talent Heads. So we've got Instagram, we've got a TikTok, and we've got a Facebook page. But personally for me, I just use LinkedIn, and I use it 2 or 3 times a week. I post just for consistency, but that's purely for a brand recognition place, to get my business up and running and being seen for the right things.
And also, it's so good for networking and stuff as well. Tiffany's really got me into LinkedIn. I was still thought it was like a big CV until about 3 months ago. I love it.
All about personal brand now, Alex. It's all about making sure that, and I think there's a responsibility there as well about, we've done stuff in our lives so far. We've got to share them. We've got to help the next generation. I'll help other people. We need to be peer groups for people. There's quite a lot of responsibility that you can, if your purpose is driven by being part of something, LinkedIn is really good for as a community for that.
I also find there's a lot less negativity on it.
Yeah.
It's quite supportive as a community as well, isn't it?
It is. It's not it is still a little bit glossy. It still is about the good news that people want to share rather than sometimes honest.
Definitely, yeah. I think you've got to just, like you said, I love what you said about you just post, and I imagine you post and you're gone. Yeah.
It's done, and then I go out, and then I'll let it do what it needs to do, and then I'll come back on, I'll re-engage with a message, make sure that everyone who's supported me, I say a thank you to, and then I'm back off doing something else.
Love that.
And I try not to do any of that stuff at the weekend. I did do one because I did quite a lot of work stuff this weekend, but I try and go quiet on the weekend because that's family time. That's the time I need to stop thinking about work and just focus on the children.
So with being an entrepreneur, I guess then boundaries are pretty key to stop to kind of maintaining that work-life balance.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think when you're an entrepreneur, you're passionate about what it is that you're doing. So that's really hard. That has no time. Like I talk about it all the time. Like I feel like I'm in Talent Heads time, which isn't the reality of the world. So because I'm coming up with ideas all of the time, because I'm so motivated by doing what we're trying to achieve, like these ideas come in the shower, these ideas come when it's 3 o'clock in the morning, these ideas come when we're picking up conkers with the kids. Like these ideas are coming all of the time. And when that idea comes to when it's discussed, I really struggle with that time zone. So I'm still hugely working on the boundaries. Like if I work from home, like I said, right, I'm going to start working from home every Thursday. And then when the kids come in from school, I'm still in work mode. So the kids come in and they're like, and they're yabbering on, and I'm like, trying to pick up their day, but I'm still in work mode. So I kind of find that actually I'm less useful in home if I'm still in work mode. So there's been a couple of things I've had to really kind of, if I'm going to be present in one situation, I need to be fully present, and I need to commit to that and not try and mix the two, because loving your children as much as you love your children and loving your business as much as you love your business, it's really hard sometimes to differentiate between those. It's just a mixture of passion and joy and love, and it's just sometimes really important to say, actually, no, I'm going to work from the office today because I can't give Maddie the time that she needs right now because my head's stuck in something else.
That's interesting. I think that really goes into like the idea of mum guilt as well.
God.
So imagine you're at work, you think about your children, you're with the children, think about work, because I do it.
Can't win, can you?
But do you think it's, I'm learning to just lean into that, and it's normal, and maybe just accept it, and then we can, or do you have any advice into how to manage that or lower that voice in your head?
I think for me, if someone did say that, I've got a bit of really good advice from someone once, which actually really helped me make decisions on either home or work. And the advice that they gave me was, if you say yes to that, are you prepared to with what you're going to say no to? So if you say, yes, I'm going to finish this project off, so I'm going to be in the office and I'm going to work till 6:30, rather than going home at 5:30, are you prepared to say, no, I'm not making tea for the kids and I'm not going to be able to make sure that homework's done? Are you prepared with that? And if the answer is, yes, I'm prepared to do that, then you've made your peace, you own that and you move forward with that. If the answer is, no, I'm not prepared to not make tea and do homework and all those other things, then get yourself home. Just go and do it. And make your peace with, actually, that can wait till tomorrow, because it's not that urgent that you have to put your children second or your house second. So that really helps me in the moments where everything is kind of coming at me left, right and centre. It's like, right, am I prepared to say to Lily Mae, don't worry, I'm gonna leave that piece of work there and I'm gonna concentrate just on your homework, but I'm gonna miss am I happy that I'm gonna miss a deadline, a potential piece of work, this or that, and then I'll make the decision depending on then what is reality, rather than my emotions trying to straddle both sides equally.
Okay, so the idea of choosing something to, I know it sounds quite negative, but choosing something to fail at, I think accepting that some things will, like, for example, I mean, I've given up on having always a tidy house, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
For the sake that maybe I can spend some more time with the children, I can work, because that's important, right? So it's just letting some things drop.
Yeah, and just being honest.
Okay.
Like I found I've got a really busy brain. So sometimes, like, I feel like I'm trying with all the best intentions to juggle so many different things, and I believe that I can do it, it'll be fine. But actually, the reality is it catches up after a while when your brain is so busy for such a long amount of time. You just become exhausted. So actually, I've learned to say to my children, can you give me 5 minutes? Because I'm not listening properly and I really want to listen. That sounds like a very funny story. Hold that thought. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to close the laptop and then I want to hear your funny story. And
that's lovely.
Just being honest, rather than looking at Lily Mae's face once she's delivered what she thinks is a funny story. And I'm like, oh, I didn't catch the end of that. And likewise at work, there would have been times when someone else might not have been able to do something and I would have said, don't worry about it, I'll do it, it's fine. Now I'll be like, well, actually, guys, if I choose to go to that networking event, that means that Maddie's got an exam that day. So I'll not be able to watch her walk up the street and be like watching the back of her head thinking my baby's going to do another GCSE exam. Like, I'm not prepared to do that. So I think it's just about being honest and sharing what's in your busy brain, so that people can kind of go, actually, I get that. Like, Lily Mae will be like, yeah, of course I'll wait, ma'am. I'll sit here and I'll wait. And I'll be like, right, hold that thought. We can try to get everything sorted so I can shut the laptop. Or work would be like, actually, do you know what, Sam? We wouldn't ask you to do that. So don't. Yeah.
So, like, I'll just finish that email. Now I'm all yours. Like,
I'm all yours, and I'm watching you, and I'm part of this, and I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that on. I'm definitely gonna take that on, because I hate that feeling of yes, Ted, while still doing something else. I do feel like that honesty is something I'm gonna take from you, Sam, and do that of like, I need 1 minute, and then right, tell me, and I can't wait to hear it all.
Good luck to do that with a toddler. I'll be like, what? 1 minute? Why? Why?
We do have, I'm trying to see if I've got one here. Wait, 1 moment. Can I reach one? I have a series of these little timers all over the place where I'm like, Ted, 5 minutes while I drink this cup of coffee.
I like that.
And he can watch the sand running down. But it's not as intentional. That's just because I like need 5 minutes to myself. It's not like the work-life balance. But I'm definitely going to employ that.
Yeah, they get it, and there probably will be ways like turning the sand over, Tiffany. That might be a good way for your toddler to get it. It is a bit harder when they are a little bit younger.
I'll definitely get a few whys though. Why? But mommy, why? I think you know what you said, Sam. I really like that, because it's also the idea of changing how our children see work. It's not this painful thing that takes their parents away from them. Like the other day, my husband was leaving the house and he was like, and my son was like, oh, but daddy, why are you going to work? And I know normally my husband makes like silly jokes and go, oh, daddy's going to make money and blah, blah. And I'm like, but then I'm thinking, he's thinking work is taking daddy away. Daddy's making money, which my son doesn't care about. So how can we? So I started seeing them and I said to him, listen, daddy goes to work because daddy has a skill that you can deliver to the world and it can add value. And he does that because he enjoys it, but he also loves being with you. So it's just daddy using his time well. But I know it all sounds very like, I don't know. It all sounds probably a bit much, but I think it's actually useful so that they don't see work as this thing that people go and they suffer from it and they struggle to do it and they come home and they're away from you. So I think it's important to actually start changing that narrative about work and what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there has been a couple of times in definitely over the last 10 years where, I do think, especially when you do start up a business, you are away more than you would like to be. Yeah. And I have had conversations with both of my children, both girls, around, if this is too much, I will stop it because all that I care about are you two. I genuinely love working. It's my purpose. It drives me, all of those things. Like, I do love the identity that I've got, that I can be something different as well. I can be a mother and I can work, and that gives me a lot of it's who I am, and the girls know that. So both times I've had the conversation about, I'll stop it if it's too much. You guys are my absolute focus and there'll be no questions. That'll be the end of it. They've both said, no, please continue. Like they know, I mean, they are a little bit older now. The girls are 13 and 16. So they know that they couldn't have gone to Disney if I hadn't worked my bum off. They know that things don't come for free. They know that like things like table manners are really important because I like to go out. I like to give them other experiences. So we are working together to just have a life that is better for us all. And they know that means that I have to work and that I'm passionate about it. And they say if I was at home, I would be awful because I'd be like, right, what's the next project? That room needs to be spotless. I would just be dangerous. And they know that if I was at home, I would be dangerous because I'm really motivated by doing things, making changes, moving things forward. And they know that when I'm not here and I'm doing something else, I come back and I've done that, and then I can be more composed and I can be more loving and I can be more affectionate and I can be fun. If I was at home, some of my qualities, I think I would probably be I'd be too full on for the kids. They'd be like, can you please go away, woman?
Not another jigsaw, not another board game.
Don't need another life skill. I've got plenty now, thank you. I'm 13.
Oh, that's funny. I think you'd be super frustrated as well, it sounds like. I love my time with the children, and the good thing as well about it is because I've chosen to do that and have a career as well. I feel like when I do have the time with the children, it needs to count. Mm-hmm. Like it really, like that precious time when I've got those 3 or 4 hours on an evening, I want to do my daughter's hair. I want to talk to Maddie about what her friends have been doing. I want to make sure that they've got hot water for their showers, like all the little things. Like it really, I remember my sister at the time she had her children, she was at home a lot. Mm-hmm. and I was like, I'm so jealous that you're at home with your children all the time, Hayley. And I remember Hayley saying, do you know what, Sam, to be really honest, the stuff you do with your kids, you do more than I do with my children because I'm fishing them off to school, being ready to pick them up, getting the dinner on the table. She was like, when you're with them, you're full on. You've got the energy to be able to really do something with those precious Saturdays and those precious Sundays and that evening. And that was really quite comforting to me. I really thanked her for that because I did, like every single mother, I think, but I should be at home with my children. I shouldn't be at work. And Hayley really put that to bed for me. I use my time really wisely that when I have that time with the children.
I like that. And I think it helps a lot of mothers listening to this who maybe have the option to have a career and stay home, and they're thinking, but if I have a career, is that taking me away from my children? But you're saying that it's not just the time you spend, it's how well you use the time.
Yeah, it is. And if you've got sometimes, like if you've got less time, you sometimes can use that really, really well, because you know how important that time is. Like every Friday night, we have a family night. So we watch a film, which is a debate in itself, just to try and pick a film for 4 children. Oh my goodness. Like literally, we have to have half an hour just to talk about what film we're going to watch. And then we eat together, we watch a film, we share some treats, and then we do it all in our pajamas with our blankets on the sofas, watching the TV in the sitting room. And then everyone goes to bed. Paul and I have a couple of glasses of wine. And that is for us. It's the weekend. We're now going to come down, be part of this and absorb it. And that is a ritual. The children will not get out of that. If they've got friends over, their friends are in family night.
Nice.
That is a non-negotiable. And it's just because time is so precious.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested to know, though. I know, obviously, this is always I suppose, a tricky question, but is there anything that you would have done differently?
Oh my goodness, I feel like saying no, it feels like a bit of a cop-out, because
I feel like you can say so, though, if you feel that. Yeah.
I just think everything happens for a reason. And I know it just sounds a bit airy-fairy, but genuinely, I do think everything that has happened, I've totally taken accountability for. Like, I could say, I wish I'd had a bit more time. I had 5 months off with Lily May when I had Lily May on maternity leave, and I had 4 months off with Maddie when I had maternity leave, and there was times when they were really small where I really kicked myself that I didn't maximize that opportunity, because I was already off work, I'd broken the cycle, I was a brand new parent, and that was probably one where, if I'd been with a different partner, if I'd had a bit more financial freedom, if I'd had other options that I could have, possibly I would have made different choices then. But the girls now have been brought up with, with ambition and drive and passion and some of the things that, like, they possibly wouldn't have got if I had stayed off a little bit longer. So I think everything happens for a reason. I've made those choices, and I do genuinely believe, like, no regrets. It would have been great. It would have been great to have brought them up with their dad. It would have been great to have lived in the same village as my mum, because it would have been great for childcare, all of those things. But actually, none of them were right. And I've got to this stage in my life where it's kind of like, it's not perfect, but it's my definition of happiness and healthiness, and we're in a good place. The chaos and all.
Love that.
Yeah, really love that. I think, it's got to be right for you, and that is the most important thing. And I don't think anyone lives the perfect life or does everything the way they had mapped out. And I think as long as you are happy and enjoying it and feel like you're hitting those ambitions, that is all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. The so what's and the what ifs and the I can'ts and stuff they'll just burden you. They just bring you down. And actually, there is sometimes some things that you have to accept and grieve and get over and, process and make your peace with. But in the majority of things, you're in control of your own lives. There's boundaries you can sidestep. There are things that are, just being really self-aware and being really honest with yourself just really helps you stop having the amount of pressure that you can have on yourself in the current time, being someone who could be at home and being someone who could be at work. It's just too much. You can't carry absolutely everything. So you have to make your peace and you have to move on.
Oh, have we lost Tiffany? I didn't hear what you said there.
I was just saying, what are you working on at the moment with work and life? Do you have any personal projects or any projects at work as well that you're looking at?
Got lots of stuff from work. I've got lots of, we're on the next stage of our growth journey. So profitability, excellence. There's loads of really good stuff that we've got going on in Talent Heads, which I'm really, really proud of. Got a great team. Well, they will crack on. I've got a great meeting tomorrow planned on strategy. That'll be brilliant. But from a home perspective, Christmas is coming. And I love Christmas.
Christmas person.
I love Christmas, Tiffany.
Oh, really? Okay.
I just love the cold days. I just love the fire. I love the red wine. I love the films. I love pantomime. I love the kids decorating their own Christmas tree. I love Christmas. I feel like it's a time where I can genuinely, because everyone else switches off, I can switch off. So I think it's like 10 or 11 weeks, and I have got that in my eye of sight, and I am going to maximize every single hour of that precious time. So that's what I'm focusing on, just making sure that I can close those doors and everyone I love will be in this house, and I can put my arms around them, and I can get my cup topped back up ready for next year.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Really nice. And I'm a big mulled wine fan. I love mulled wine.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I love it. A Christmas market. Oh, love a Christmas market.
When I was pregnant, I made non-alcoholic mulled wine. I liked it so much. No, I'm not. I drank so much mulled wine when I was pregnant. No. Non-alcoholic mulled wine.
Yeah, love it. I just love everything about that, and I just think also it's coming towards the end of the year is almost like a little bit of a you can run it. It's a good duration to still run at. From a business perspective, we've got 3 solid months of running at something, which makes me excited. But from a kind of when we get there, it's just this very heartwarming, lovely, fuzzy feeling in my stomach about, playing board games with the kids, giving my mum a Christmas pajamas, doing all those things that are the whole point of all of this in the first place.
I like that. So it sounds like you got a good handle on how you can also fill your cup back up towards the end. Yeah,
that's really important. I think that again, it goes back to being honest with yourself. Like, you cannot keep your cup fully topped up all of the time. That's a reality. So what are you going to do? What walks are you going to go on? What conversations are you just not going to not getting rid of your phone? We've got a box in our sitting room where we put all of our phones away when it's family time. And that's really hard with teenagers. We've just got to get back to the reality of, how people's voices sound, how it feels to hold hands again, that kind of touch on the back, all of those things that are just the important things about being human. It's important to keep those consistent and frequent, so you can keep your resilience. You can keep going if you've got those things within your cup.
Love that. Thanks a lot, Sam. And if people are looking to find you, obviously, for advice or to follow you, are you just you're mainly on LinkedIn?
Definitely, yeah. Dead active on LinkedIn. So it's just Sam Spoors. If you just look for my name, I should be there, and just look for talent heads. Give me a shout if there's anything genuinely, like as I've said the whole way through. I'm really big at trying to share and give something back. And if there's anything I can do to help anyone, do reach out.
Oh, thank you, Sam. That's lovely. It's been really fun talking to you, and really inspiring as well. And I'm definitely going to take away that just one moment, Ted. Just a moment. And then,
And give him everything. Give him absolutely everything once he's given you that one moment of those 5 minutes that you need.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Great
everyone.
talking to you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.